What does it mean for someone who is enslaved to imagine oneself beyond that condition? I'm often fond of telling my students that there was nothing about the condition of the enslaved to lead her to believe that she could be anything else but a slave. Right? There's nothing about it. So what has to happen? The enslaved has to find through the imagination an ability to see beyond the opacity of her current condition and to imagine a life otherwise. And then that imaginative leap, right, affords a different orientation to the now, to the actual. Thomas Alexander has it right, I think, the philosopher. He says, imagination is a phase of activity in which possible activities are envisaged in relation to our situations, thereby amplifying the meaning of the present and creating the context from which present values may be criticized, thus liberating the course of action itself. Moral imagination is temporally complex in operation in the present, establishing continuity with the past, anticipating the future, so that a continuous process of activity may unfold in the most meaningful and value-rich way possible, end quote. Moral imagination in its prophetic form affords us the possible distance necessary to say with fire and strength what is wrong with our current social arrangements and to forecast the emergence of more just arrangements. It is a reflection upon limits and prospects. It can be a call to pursue idealized ends and a claim about the animating values of our form of life that may require us to risk everything in their pursuit. I don't need someone authorized by forces beyond my lived experience to come tell me that. It's in me. It's in you. It's in us. Imagination involves also, I believe, our capacity to see the possibilities interwoven within the actual. It is, to echo Shelley, the chief instrument of the good. Imagination is that feature of deliberation or inquiry that guides our attention beyond the immediately experienced so that we can take heed of those lessons in the past as we take in those as yet realized possibilities that attend any problematic situation. It is in this sense that moral imagination acquires its prophetic quality, that the sense of the as yet realized possibility that may indeed be realized, in contrast to the actual conditions of living, that imaginative leap can then be the basis of criticism of current social and political arrangements, and perhaps more importantly, can be the basis of a passionate creation of a self beyond the confines and strictures of the world we presently inhabit. Not only are we imagining beyond the constraints of now as a way to address social ills, we are engaged in becoming the kinds of persons that imagined world requires. Now, why is all of this important? It is precisely in this moment that we mustn't relinquish our responsibility to imaginatively address the crisis in American democracy we face today. We can no longer pine for a prophet to lead us to the promised land or political saviors who will once and for all vanquish the evil that threatens to consume. All of these are rituals of abdication, it seems to me. Instead, I believe we must understand that, as it has always been, right? We are the serpents in the current. We are the current serpents in the garden. That we have to become better people. And it's through that effort, the imaginative leap, that we can create a better world and to become better people. We have witnessed over the last 40 years, I believe, the disintegration of any robust sense of the public good in the USA. As a political and economic philosophy has reduced us to self-interested persons in pursuit of our own aims and ends in competition and rivalry with others, the neoliberalism that Dr. Giroux has written so powerfully about, the sphere of our moral concern has narrowed to only those who are considered one of us. Many have retreated into their silos, blinkered, festering in a cesspool of grievance, hatred, and fear. In some ways, this was the reaction to the efforts in the mid-20th century to expand who mattered in polity. Some abandoned the public domain and sought to build a world apart from historically marginalized others, and we are fighting that battle today as we face an all-out effort in the United States to relitigate the gains of the 60s, from voting rights to women's rights to LGBTQ plus rights. And if we're honest, we must admit that we've been in this battle since the founding of the American Republic. It is what Frederick Douglass referred to as the horrible reptile coiled up in the nation's bosom. This idea that some people are valued more than others has blocked the way to the beloved community, has distorted and disfigured the moral sense of so many Americans. It has made a mockery of our claims to liberty and democratic freedom. And I think as a result, we must imagine how to be together differently. And that, to my mind, is a prophetic act in which each of us is capable. Now, I've found resources over the years in the American dissenting tradition, examples of everyday ordinary people under different material conditions, fighting for an idea of community that affirmed the dignity and standing of everyone, no matter the color of their skin, their zip code, gender, who they love, or their ability. An idea of democracy close to the ground, where we are the leaders we've been looking for, where it is in our actions that the benevolent and beloved community is made possible. James Baldwin has helped me understand that intimate relationship between our broken world and our broken selves. That if we are to imagine a benevolent community, if we are to build one, we have to confront our own wounds and terrors. We have to become better people. And that sounds a bit cliche, but I think it is a central insight beyond ideological musings or virtue signaling that if we are the leaders we've been looking for, we have to reach for higher forms of excellences in our individual lives with others. And one of the central claims of We Are the Leaders is that we need to think of self-cultivation not as a narcissistic enterprise, but self-cultivation in the pursuit of a more just world as a critical feature of any progressive vision, right? That we have to become better people. In our struggle for a better world, it's very difficult to become better people when the world is organized in the way ours is. When all the rewards, right, are for the distortions, right, that in some ways make us bad people.